Hi everyone, my name is Eliza and this is Eliza's Bookshelf. Today I am going to go over my top 10 books of 2022. So at first I wanted to do like a top 5 books of 2022, but I couldn't narrow it down. There was like a few that I really liked. And so I'm just gonna do like top 10 books of 2022. No particular order though. Number 1 is The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. This one is not really a rom-com type of book. It looks like it because the cover is very cutesy, very cartoony like you see a lot of nowadays, but it's actually so sad. I don't want to give too much away. The ending was very satisfying and very heartfelt, very sad, but I liked it. So basically you have this guy, I don't even know his name, like Carter or something like that, right? But he has a first name and a last name, and he uses both of those names when he makes these dates with these 3 girls on the same day. I don't remember if he actually no-shows, but he is like kind of late to all these dates and very suspicious, and you're like, what is this guy doing? You know, cheating on 3 girls. But just trust me on this one, just get to the end and it's just so cute. So that is one of my favorite books this year. The next one is Project Hail Mary. So I read this one, I think I read it with my husband. Like we were kind of on the same page for the first few chapters, and then I just like zoomed by him and I finished the whole book in a day or two because I loved it so much. It's a science fiction novel by Andy Weir. He's the same author as The Martian. So I don't know if you guys read The Martian or watched The Martian, but I really like that movie. And so I read this book this year. It's about this, I think he's a science professor, but he gets roped into this mission because this is like years into the future. I forgot what year, but basically something is happening to the earth where like energy is getting sucked out, and they are doing studies, like temperature is going down each year, and if it continues to go this route, then earth will be like frozen over by 20 years, I believe. And so this science professor gets roped in because of some article he wrote, and all the higher ups there, they're like, we need this guy because he knows what he's talking about. And so they're trying to figure out why Earth's temperature is going down, and it's just so crazy. I think majority of time the majority of the time the book takes place in like space, but there's flashbacks into his life and how it led up to this point. The beginning of the book started out crazy too, because basically he woke up in a spaceship and he doesn't remember anything, but when he wakes up, he's next to 2 dead crew members. So he's trying to get his memory back. And as the book goes on, the more he remembers, the more it's revealed to you. So it's just so crazy. So yes, that is another favorite one. Let's see. Next one is Recursion by Blake Crouch. And so I've hyped up Blake Crouch so much this year because of this book. I loved Dark Matter when I read it years ago, and I just loved it so much that I never read this other book, Recursion, because I thought, you know, nothing can top this. I always think that way for some reason. But anyways, I finally read Recursion this year and it was phenomenal. I honestly don't know which book I like more, Dark Matter or Recursion, but this one was so crazy. So basically we follow this cop, and then on the other hand, we follow this like neuroscientist, I think that's what she is. But anyways, so we have the cop, forgot his name, maybe it's Barry, maybe it's not, but he is a cop during this time when there is this condition called false memory syndrome, FMS. And it's basically when a person, like, you know, there's probably like a syndrome of, you know, symptoms, but eventually you just have these weird overlapping memories. You feel like it's so real, so you're like, what is real? Is it that life that I'm having these memories of, or is it this life that I'm currently living in? I don't know. And so people go so crazy because they're so distressed over this, and then they kill themselves. So it starts out with him trying to like pull out a woman from the ledge. I think it's in New York, and so it starts out with that, and then it just opens up a whole can of worms after that. So I loved it so much. I actually kind of want to reread it now just talking about it. Next book is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And so I think I've read like all of her books except 1 or 2 of her contemporary romance books. And honestly, I wasn't expecting much of Carrie Soto is Back because I read Malibu Rising earlier this year too. And I was like, this is by far my favorite from her. Again, I don't know why I have this mindset, but I'm always like, nothing can top that. I am not going to read anymore. And so I read Carrie Soto is I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. I read Carrie Soto is Back, and it was phenomenal. It's about this woman who basically is a retired tennis player, and it follows her life from when she was younger, her relationship with her father, who was also like a professional tennis player, how he coached her into becoming like the best tennis player, and all of her hangups, getting to where she was, and then what led to her retirement. And now Carrie Soto is back. She's coming out of retirement to beat this other woman who's like, you know, in the dangers of nabbing her record for some tennis thing. I don't know. I forget all the details. I'm not a big tennis person. I played badminton when I was growing up, but I mean, I was just so engrossed in this story about her because obviously it's just a lot of tennis and a lot of terms and a lot of tournaments and a lot of practice and stuff like that. It's very tennis heavy, but it's about so much more than that. And the thing that resonated a lot with me is like her being a woman trying to become the best, but that is not always enough for the world. You have to like act a certain way, you have to be friendly with everyone, and I don't know, I just liked it. There's a lot of other lessons in there too, but yes, just read it. The next one I want to talk about is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. It's a retelling of the 1001 Nights. Aladdin sort of feels there, but basically you have this hodgepodge group. You have this midnight merchant, you have her jinn bodyguard, you have a prince, and then like one of his 40 thieves. And so eventually they all got together and they have to go on this mission to find a relic for the Sultan. And so just a little bit of summary there, but it's just so amazing how like this group came together, and it's a found family of sorts, and you see a lot of their relationships building, but really the relationship that I am here for, I don't want to say because it can be a little spoilery. It ended on like a big cliffhanger, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is my favorite character. I don't know what's gonna happen to this person, but I'm so excited. The second one comes out in November. Yeah, November of next year, so I have to wait a long time. It's called The Ashfire King. I am so excited. Yes, I've been recommending this to everyone, so hopefully you guys like it. Okay, next one is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, and she is also Rachel Hawkins. She writes like mystery thriller books too that I also really love, so she is one of my favorite authors now. So The Kiss Curse is the second in this, I think it's a trilogy. The first one being The Ex-Hex, which I thought was just okay, and so I wasn't even going to read this book, but I'm so glad I did because I heard a lot of people say that they did like it more than the first one, and same here. This follows like characters that you did meet in the first book, but basically you have Guinevere. She also goes as Gwen, I think. And then you have, I'm forgetting everything already. What's his name? Oh, Llewellyn. He goes by Wells. So cute. Yeah, so you have Gwen and you have Wells, and they're like kind of enemies to lovers type of story, but it's so funny because he doesn't really know that she hates his guts from something that happened a long time ago. I don't think he realized what happened there. He was just like in his own world, like stressed with his own problems, but she hates his guts from then. And then he moves back into town and sets up shop right across from her store, and she's like super pissed about it. And so it's just so cute. There's like there's that going on, but then also the main storyline of like something's going on with her powers, her witchy powers. And they're trying to figure out what is going on there. I think it's a trilogy, and so the next one is about the third brother, and the third brother is like really grumpy and quiet, sticks to himself, so I'm excited for that one. Okay, the next one is A Sign Here by Claudia Lux. I got this from a Book of the Month box, and I honestly like never heard of this author. It just caught my attention because I've never heard of, or I've never read a book like this, but basically you have a demon who works in hell. Yeah, you have a demon that works in hell, and hell is portrayed as this is like your normal everyday life, but everything annoying that can happen happens. Like what? If they microwave their coffee cup in the microwave, then it just melts all the time, every time. So things like that. I think I gave another example before, but what else? I don't know. It's just like super funny things like that. And so, okay, so you have the devil, or not devil. So you have the demon himself. His name is Peyote, and his goal in this whole book is trying to get like the fifth soul of this one family, because something happens when you get all 5 souls of this whole family. It can be like different generations, but it has to be one family. And so he is trying to get the soul of the Harrison family. He only needs one more to go. And it's just so crazy because we learn about about Peyote's life, you learn about the Harrison's life, and then you also learn about other people in hell who's trying to like, you know, have their own schemes too. It's just wild. I think I read some people's reviews about this book and they didn't like it, but I was like, this is insane. I love this book so much. It's one of those books that gave me a book hangover. Like after I read it, I couldn't stop thinking about it and it was hard for me to move on to a different book. So I loved it so much. All right. Oh, the next one is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. So I finally read this one. I've just been putting it off for like the whole year. Like since it came out, I've been wanting to read it because Kristin Hannah, she has a way with building characters. She writes historical fiction. I read The Nightingale. What else? What's it? I read The Great Alone. I read The Nightingale. And so I've loved her writing. It's just like, she writes such fantastic, heartbreaking characters that I just really want to know what happens in their life and I really want to root for them. I want them to have a happy ending. Most of the times it's not so happy, but so when The Four Winds came out about the Great Depression, I was like, I really want to read this. The cover looks amazing. I just never read it because it sounds, number one, depressing, of course. Number two, it's like a thick ass book. And so I put it off until now. It's like the last book I need to read for my book of the month badge. And so I finally read it and it was so amazing. So you follow this woman who, as a young girl, I think she was afflicted with rheumatic fever or something like that. And so for some reason, her whole family is like, you know, you're sick, you're not gonna amount to anything in life, just stay here with us, just stay put. And so when she's in her 20s, she's like, I actually wanna go to college, but she ended up getting pregnant. Her life trajectory kind of changed course. And so she has this baby with this man, she has this life with him. The Dust Bowl came and everything is just like, it's just so sad because everyone's trying to deal with it with their own way, but no one really like aligns in this family. And so things happen. They travel to the West Coast and just like, it's just so sad. But it's really a story of like having courage no matter if you are afraid of something, despite being afraid of something, and keep fighting for what is right and keep, you know, looking for that love that you deserve. And she has like she really grew up with a bad background. Like it's really sad. Her parents are really crappy. And so she actually raised like these two amazing kids. And it's just so amazing to read about. But yes, I won't say any more about that because I'm basically going over the whole thing. But The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah, also another favorite. Okay, next one is When in Rome. This is by Sarah Adams and it's kind of like it is like a contemporary romance, rom-com-y type of book, but you have this woman who is a pop star and she's like really burnt out. And so she is trying to figure out how to get that spark back, her magic, her passion. And she remembers like watching movies with her mom when she was younger. They loved Audrey Hepburn. This is like a love letter to Audrey Hepburn, but she basically picked one of Audrey Hepburn's movies and was like, I'm just gonna go to wherever that movie was based upon. And so I think she had, I don't know Audrey Hepburn that much, but I'm assuming she had a movie called When in Rome. And so she's like, I'm gonna pack my bags, I'm going to go to Rome. But logistically, she can't really just up and leave the country. So she drives like a few hours away to the nearest Rome in Kentucky. And so she gets there, her car breaks down, she meets this guy. She meets like a lot of people in this small town. So it's like a small town romance and it's so cute. The guy is, I think he's a baker. I obviously don't remember much, but I remember how I feel during these books and it was so cute. There is going to be like a second book in this world that is coming out next year. I'm so excited for that. It's like following another character in the small town, but it was amazing. Okay, and the last book I want to talk about is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. She is an Australian author and actually this whole series is out already. It's a trilogy, so if you want to just binge it all, you can. But I read this first book this year and I loved it so much. It is a YA, a fantasy type of book, but it doesn't feel very YA if you kind of know what I mean. It's like the characters in there are like pretty mature. So you have the prison healer. She actually ended up in this prison with her father a long time ago because they were like mistakenly accused of being in cahoots with the rebels. And so they're in prison. Her father passed away, unfortunately, but she's still in there. And she knew how to take care of a lot of people from learning from her dad. And so she became the prison healer. And so she basically does whatever they tell her to do, you know, like, oh, this guy's sick, come on, treat him. This guy has an injury, help him out. And so throughout like her whole years there, I think she's there for almost a decade, if not more, but she's always held out hope that her family from outside is going to come and break her out. So yeah, she's like hanging on. And one day this old frail woman comes in and she's like, all right, let me do my thing, let me heal her. But then she gets like an encrypted note, which she often gets. Anyway, she gets a new one that says, save her, we are coming, we are coming, we are coming. And so she's like, all right, my family's finally gonna come save me. I need to keep this woman alive for some reason. And so it's just so crazy. The ending had like 2 twists. And I was like, at the first one, I was like, oh my God, holy crap. I actually stopped and I jumped up from my reading position. I was like, this is so crazy. But then like a few chapters after that, there was another twist. I think that was like at the very end of the book. There was like a crazier twist. And so I don't know why I haven't picked up the second book yet. There's just like so many books I want to read, but I really need to get into the second book because I want to know what's next. It's just so crazy. So yes, I hope you enjoyed my top 10 books of 2022. Let me know if you've read any of them or let me know what your favorite books of the year were. But I hope you guys had a good reading year. Here's to 2023. Bye guys.